and welcome to my channel if you are new, or welcome back if you are back. Either way, thank you so much for clicking on this video today. If you're new, hi, my name is Rabbit and my pronouns are they, them, and if you are back, hi, welcome back. I'm so happy you're back. I'm very excited because today's video is the commemoration of a new addition to the customized jacket family, I guess you could say. So it's super exciting. Basically, I have been really into customizing jackets for quite a long time. I have a couple examples of ones that I've done before. I have a whole video on this one. It's a lot of fun. It glows in the dark, but I don't wear it too often because it's a little bit tight, and normally when I'm wearing a jacket, I like to wear a sweater underneath it, so it's just like not great for that kind of situation. Then I have this one. This is my baby, my everyday jacket. I love it very, very much, but it's made out of this thrifted fake leather jacket, which is kind of peeling apart. I don't know if you can like see all this stuff. So it needs a lot of extra work and love to make sure I can patch it up before it completely falls apart. However, I like it a lot and I wear it like kind of every day. And I never wear this one anymore, but I kind of keep it around just for nostalgia's sake. This is the earliest jacket that I still have that I customized. I think I did this guy when I was like 16 or something. I like just drew this with like Sharpie, and it has a bunch of bleach on it and patches that Cage's mom didn't need for like quilting projects, and I put like every button that I owned like kind of from that time on it. And I just like this guy for nostalgia's sake, even though I don't really wear him anymore because he's from my more like hippier phase. But the reason that we are gathered here today is to introduce and kind of show a little tutorial-ish of the newest addition, the fucking Halloween jacket. Oh my goodness. So I've wanted to do a Halloween jacket for quite a while. I originally wanted to do a leather jacket, but because of the issues I had with my previous one, and because I don't want to buy like a real leather jacket, I decided to go with this kind of more sweatery material, and I experimented with like a ton of new creation of accessories for the jacket. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to make like felt patches like this. I'm going to really briefly show you how I stenciled these guys, though I have a big video that goes into depth about that, how I made candy corn spikes and these little buttons that are just like made of recycled bottles caps, how I put a candy corn collar onto it, how I made these little pumpkin buttons, and just in general, a lot of the patches on here are just like fabric and like Joanna Parker stuff. But basically we're gonna go into the creation from how we went to this into this delightful, exciting thing. And will it just be a thing I wear in October and the spooky season? We shall see. For me, the spooky season feels year-round, so I don't think it's gonna be like a once-a-month thing. I have been wearing it every day since I made it. Like, I absolutely love this guy. He's so comfy, so cozy, and I made him out of like a kind of sweatery material, so I can even like wear him inside and not feel like I'm really wearing a jacket. But if I put a nice big cozy like flannel underneath it, then it can be perfect for this kind of weather. So I'm really, really excited to show you guys how we got to this, and let's get into it. Alright, so step one is going to be picking out your base jacket. This one I got from the thrift store, but this is also a really great opportunity to go through your closet and see if there's anything that you don't really wear and might want to spruce up a little bit. It was $6 from the thrift store. It's like a fairly thin material, so it'll be nice and easy to sew through. Once we have our jacket picked out, step one for me is to make a bunch of stencils. So I've gotten really into stenciling over like the last year. It's just a super fun hobby, and you can make so many creative designs of like everything you're into, and it's really helpful for someone like me who gets new interests all the time and wants to make like patches and clothing of those logos and whatever. I have a whole video on my channel that goes really into depth and detail about how to stencil and get really crisp, clean lines, but it's basically just printing out your picture using an X-Acto knife to get everything cut out onto a piece of baking paper or a piece of vinyl, then sticking that onto your fabric and using screen printing ink to fill that in. A fun thing about this project for me is that I had a bunch of leftover stencils from my previous jacket, so I was able to just use up a bunch of those and not have to cut a bunch of new ones, so I ended up with a load of patches at the end of the day. Some of them were some new designs that I was really excited to try, like this one of Raven from Vampire Kisses. You can use and reuse the stencils over and over if you're gentle and you do them on baking paper, paper. I usually keep them in plastic sheets and they just kind of live in my craft room, and it's really nice because then anytime I want a new patch of Ghostface or Elvira or the Lost Boys, I just pull out one of those sheets and there we are. Then it's time to just add a little extra detail. I'm using a fabric marker to write in the names of Emily the Strange's cats, but then I'm just using a teeny tiny paintbrush and some screen printing ink to get all the tiny details that I left out to make proper stencils. And here we have everyone before they have been ironed. I think it's a really good collection and I'm very, very excited about it. And then it's just time to kind of use my iron to hem everyone down. I am so thankful I invested in an iron before this. For a long time, I was just using my hair straightener to iron clothes, and let me tell you, an iron is like so worth it. This is one of my favorite patches. It's of Beef from Phantom of the Paradise, which is one of my absolute favorite characters, and I just took a screenshot of one of my favorite scenes with him, put it in Canva, added a little bit of text with his name on it, and we were good to go. And it's really cool when you make patches like that from screen caps of movies and stuff like that, because you're probably like the only one with that exact patch. It's a lot of fun. I highly recommend DIYing these things. I used to paint a lot of my own patches, but I find stenciling to just be really, really satisfying. So that's all my stencils done, but I also wanted to use up some of this Joanna Parker fabric. I got it on Spoonflower and I am obsessed with it. It has the most adorable characters on it, and basically I just cut out different squares that had characters that I liked on it, ironed down the edges, hemmed them, and that was that. This is like the easiest type of patch you can make, is just take a piece of fabric that you like and turn it into a little square patch. I also wanted to do an experiment with some felt patches. I'd made them before, but with just pictures that I had drawn myself, but I wanted to use these kind of classic vintage cat images. The one that I'm starting with, I remember seeing a lot on Michael's decor last year, and I didn't snag any of those pieces, but I really, really like this cat design, so I just found the picture that I liked, inverted it to save on printing, and then it's just a matter of cutting out all the separate pieces onto a piece of felt. So I'm starting by like tracing the circle that's around the whole cat head, and then cutting that out of a white piece of felt. And then I cut out the cat head itself, and then I use that as a stencil to put down on my black felt. And I pin it down to make sure that it doesn't move around. I couldn't find my chalk, otherwise I would have just traced it, but I just pinned the stencil to the fabric and cut that out with my sewing scissors. And then it's just a matter of cutting out the mouth, the eyes, and basically all the features except for the whiskers and the eyebrows, because I'll just do those with stitches. To make the patches a little more durable, I thought I'd use some fabric glue. It tends to dry kind of stiff, and I thought it would just, make me a little more comfortable if there was fabric glue on the bottom of these patches, but I also sewed them for extra security. I would recommend using both fabric glue and stitches just to be safe, because you never know with felt, especially the really, really tiny pieces. In this case, you could definitely use a contrasting thread, but I wanted to just be messy and not have to worry too hard about anything, so I tried to use white thread on the whites of the eyes and black thread on the face and stuff like that. However, I did use some contrasting colors to make the whiskers and the eyebrows of the cat. It just adds a little bit of detail and looks super cool and fun. If you really like sewing and embroidery, you could totally add lots of details and like little textures and stuff like that. But for just a really simple patch such as this, I am just adding a couple of stitches. I got really into making felt patches last Christmas. I made a bunch of them for all of my family members out of designs I drew, but for these ones I figured, let's use some professional designs. The next patch that I'm making is based off this vintage cat band die cut that I've been seeing in a lot of people's vintage Halloween decor, and I really, really like the image. It's like a cat playing the accordion. Accordions are one of my favorite friggin' instruments. I find them so beautiful. And basically it's the same thing again, just cutting out all the different pieces of the pattern and then using some fabric glue and some needle and thread to secure everything. So last year I bought a lot of Halloween towels that were really cute but honestly kind of bad quality and were extremely
thin and flimsy and kind of impossible to use for actually drawing anything. So I decided to just use some of them to make some patches. So it's really simple. Basically, I just cut out the little pictures of the cats that I liked, pinned it onto some orange felt, and kind of did a similar shape cutting out around. And then I kind of wanted the edges to look like an embroidered patch, so I turned the length way down on my sewing machine and the width way up. So do these like really big wide stitches. And then because I didn't feel like hemming the fabric, I just used that stitch to kind of give it a really nice thick embroidered hem all the way around. I hope it works. We shall see how it holds up over the years. But basically just going all the way around, and we've got a felt patch with like a cute little skeleton design on it. So once all the patches are complete, then I like to place them all on my jacket and use some pins just to make sure that I like the placement before I sew anything on. This is completely optional. There is no right or wrong way to make your custom jackets. Do not let anyone tell you that there is, or that you're doing it wrong, or that your patches are not cool enough or anything like that. You can do whatever you want with this kind of customizable stuff. But I like to pin everything in place to make sure I like it and then sew it on down. But if you want to just do it sporadically, that's a-okay. Just follow your heart, follow your dreams. And I'm super lucky to be able to use a sewing machine to sew everything down. It makes the process ridiculously fast. I remember having to hand sew things in the past, and it was a nightmare. My heart goes out to you who do have to hand sew, but also sometimes you just put a good movie on in the background and it's a lot of fun, though I was watching a lot of good movies while I got this project finished. I've had this candy corn fabric that I got from the dollar store about 2 years ago, and I just love it so much. I think it's so precious and charming, and I thought it would be really cute to have like a candy corn collar on this jacket. So this was kind of a really simple impromptu thing. There's probably a more professional way to do it, but I am just taking the fabric and laying it over the collar and cutting it to somewhat fit, and then pinning it in place with some sewing pins and folding it over the fabric on both sides so it's covering the really visible part of the collar and like a little bit of the ways down, and then just using my sewing machine to secure all the edges in place. I wasn't really sure about this when I was doing it. I was like, I don't know if I'll like it. I don't know if I won't like it. We'll just try and see. And I think it looks adorable. I freaking love the candy corn collar. Then I gotta say the buttons on the original jacket weren't really speaking to me. They were kind of this like wooden sun looking situation. And I really wanted little pumpkin buttons. I thought it would be adorable. So I'm taking just some polymer clay and rolling it into a little ball and then flattening that into a little oval, and then using some little kind of curved tools to make some indents and make some little shapes so it has like that curve kind of situation. And I'm also using a teeny tiny little piece of brown clay to make a stem, and then a little pokey stick to just poke 2 holes for the buttons through it. If you don't have clay tools, you do not have to go out and buy them. Lots of utensils in your home will have similar shapes that you need, like spoons, forks, toothpicks. Like, do not worry about that kind of thing if you're just gonna make like one clay thing. I wouldn't worry about investing in like all of the tools, but I am lucky that I have a lot of them around because I used to make a lot of clay stuff. But we've basically got all the buttons. I decided to make enough for the wrists and the whole front closure. And then my boyfriend let me borrow his epoxy. I hadn't used epoxy resin before because it just seemed messy, but this one's UV. I coated all of the pumpkins in a little bit of UV resin to give them a little bit of shine, and then I cut off all the original buttons with just a little pair of sewing scissors and used a needle and thread to stitch the new ones in their spot. Because the new ones were a teeny tiny bit bigger, I did end up having to cut the buttonholes on the other side just a smidge, but honestly it's fine. I was happy with them, so that's what it is. Then this next thing was fully Cage's idea. I cannot take credit, but I think it is so cool. I wanted to put some spikes on the jacket, and he thought it would look cool if they were candy corns. I completely agree. So step 1 was to spray them with some Mr. Super Clear. I had to do that outside, so I didn't film it. And then I just use a little bit of acrylic paint to first paint the tip of each of them white, and then painted the bottom of all of them yellow, and then did the little orange stripe with a teeny tiny paintbrush as like the last step. I found that putting them on some screws and nails was really helpful for holding them. Once they were all painted, they got epoxied, and I know it looks like I'm not wearing gloves, but I'm wearing just like finger gloves. So yes, I just used my finger to coat all of the spikes with some epoxy. I noticed that if I hadn't had coated them, the paint would have rubbed off real quick. So unfortunately, this isn't a step I think you can skip with this kind of thing, and I don't think like a spray sealer would work. I think you gotta go with like some sort of epoxy situation. Once all of my little spikes were done, it was time to attach them. If you haven't done this before, do not fret. It's super easy. You just cut a teeny tiny hole in your fabric. You can use a seam ripper, but I'm lazy and I use tiny scissors. And then push your little screw through. It usually comes with the spikes. And then gently screw the spikes on. I really wanted to make sure not to mess up the epoxy, and I like to use a screwdriver to gently tighten them the whole way, and I just think they look so cool. This was such an amazing idea, and I was worried it wouldn't work because I really hadn't used epoxy before, but it was super strong and super effective. I think the candy corn spikes are one of my favorite things about this jacket. The last step in making my jacket was I wanted a couple of handmade kind of pins and buttons for it. So I'm just taking some bottle caps and painting the inside of them with some acrylic paint. I'm doing a couple of them orange and a couple of them black. And then I'm taking some stickers, mostly from the dollar store, and either just taking them out or tracing the shape around them and then cutting out the shape so I could kind of get the background of the sticker, and then putting those inside of the bottle caps once the paint is dry. I have a bunch of these really fun holographic-y ones from the dollar store, and I just think they're so cute. They remind me of like stickers you'd get in elementary school, and I just think they're adorable. Really fun and sparkly. Once all of my little stickers and designs are in, I can use some random, mostly like nail art pieces to add a little bit of dimension. So one of the things that I'm using is these tiny little nail stickers that I got from the dollar store. There's like little ghosties and little skulls, and I'm just using a pair of tweezers to attach them in. I also have these teeny tiny gems, and I find them really great to add a little bit of sparkle. I'm using like orange and black ones to give it that spooky feel. And then again, I'm stealing Cage's epoxy to just give a little bit of like shiny glaze to each of them. Again, just using my finger with a teeny tiny finger glove on to smooth out the epoxy on top. For one of them, I wanted to add a little bit of glitter, but I was silly and did not like sprinkle it into my hand first. I just tried to do it directly in and completely flooded the entire thing with glitter. That's okay, we live and we learn. I actually think it looks really cool how it ended up, so I just put like an extra sticker over top of it and called it a day. Then I'm using a teeny tiny bit of super glue and these pin backs that I got at the dollar store ages ago to make them pins. I'd highly recommend using super glue over like hot glue in this situation. I think it's just a lot more durable. But once that's done, we've got our cute little DIY bottle cap pins. I love it. Super cute.
So that was the jacket customization. Let's get some beautiful aesthetic shots. Ooh, so gorgeous, so exciting. I'm like honestly really happy with how it turned out. Every time I make a jacket, I usually am like, oh, I don't like it, until it's like finally fully done, and then I need to wait a whole day and then look at it again, and then I can like be like objectively like, okay, yes, I enjoy it. Has like a bunch of my favorite things on it, like perfect, customized to me. I'm in love. So I'm really happy with this guy. So excited to keep wearing it all of the rest of this month and for many years to come. And I figured I'd show you guys while I was here another project that I did. I didn't film it because it was just like so easy. Since I was so into that Joanna Parker fabric that I had, I wanted to make something else with it, and I was really wanting a spooky apron. Like, I know I already have one. It's very cute, but very like kind of patchwork sort of situation. I wanted another spooky apron for this year, and I couldn't find one that I liked at the store, so I decided to just customize one. I got a black apron for like $2 at the thrift store that was just like plain black and had like some logo on it, and then I just put this really cute Joanna Parker patch at the top of it. It's like the spider. I just think he looks like he could be a cute little pastry chef, and I adore that. And then I hemmed the bottom of it. It originally was square, and then I just like cut it so it was circular and added lace to the bottom, so it just feels like a cute little like frilly like lady frou-frou apron, but like gothy and cool. Oh, and also the buckle was originally plastic, and I just replaced it with this metal one because I figured that would look a little bit better. So yes, that is the jacket, the apron, I guess, and all I got for you today. So thank you very much for sticking with me through this whole thing. I really, really appreciate it. I hope maybe it gave you some inspiration for customizing your own clothes, because it's like so much fun. You can literally put all of your favorite things, all your favorite characters, all your favorite movies, all your favorite bands, everything that is important to you onto a patch and onto your jacket, and you can just like wear it and like be like, this is all the stuff I love. Like, that's my favorite thing to do. That's all I got for you today. I want to thank you again for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Okay, I'll let you go now. Have a good one. Bye!
See that moon, hear that tune, moaning, groaning, oh so scary, through the lonely cemetery. Shapes of white, through the night, swinging, swaying, playing, prancing, ghostly goblins, gaily dancing, skip and hop, oh, never stop, oh, from the place where they are hiding, slipping, gliding, they come gliding, short and tall, see them all, shake like skeleton at that skeleton rag, oh, that skeleton rag, that goblin rag, it sounds so weepy, creepy, solemn, serious,